In the name of God. The Chrono-Couturier.
Kara had always searched for the perfect balance between creativity and meaning, and her latest invention felt truly felicitous, perfectly suited for her mission. By weaving microfluidic threads into her garments, she created dresses that transformed color based on the wearer's emotions. At Paris Fashion Week, the innovation initially dazzled the audience with its ethereal beauty. However, the turning point came when one model's panic attack ignited a stunning crimson cascade that arrested the crowd. Murmurs ran through the venue as cameras captured every second of the unintended spectacle. Some whispered that the timing was felicitous, for it exposed an invisible struggle. Yet, beneath the glamour, Kara knew her work was only beginning. As the show ended, Kara's team celebrated, but she stayed behind like a tireless factotum, overseeing every minute detail. She checked the threads, inspected the microfluidic responses, and even reviewed the show's lighting. Her presence was essential, and everyone relied on her multifaceted skills. Kara refused to delegate critical aspects of her vision, fearing that others might dilute its meaning. Despite the exhaustion, she found comfort in being her own factotum, a master of every role. Her obsession with control wasn't driven by ego but by the need to protect the message. She knew one careless mistake could transform her invention into a mere gimmick. Predictably, after the show, critics flooded social media, with some praising Kara while others turned fawning, desperate for her attention. One prominent journalist, known for his fawning nature, called her a savior of modern fashion. Kara, however, saw through the sycophantic words and empty flattery. She hated how people could turn so quickly from indifference to adoration just to stay relevant. The fawning attitude of the press made her question the sincerity of their applause. Could they ever appreciate art for what it truly was rather than what it could sell? This was precisely why she designed her dresses to speak louder than any compliment. Determined to facilitate a deeper conversation, Kara held a press conference to explain her true purpose. The dresses, she explained, were not just for the runway, they were designed to facilitate empathy. By visualizing emotions, they could help people understand what anxiety and panic attacks felt like. A hush fell over the room as the implications became clear. This was not just fashion, it was a psychological tool meant to facilitate understanding of invisible disorders. Her words carried weight, cutting through the superficial layers of the industry. And in that moment, Kara reclaimed control of her narrative. Still, not everyone embraced Kara's vision, especially when she took her designs into psychiatric wards where emotions could be feral. Patients wearing the dresses revealed raw, feral emotions rarely seen by the outside world. One patient, trembling yet proud, watched his gown shift violently between blacks and reds. The feral beauty of that moment shook Kara to her core. Here, stripped of glamour, her dresses served their truest purpose. She had ventured beyond the catwalk into the wild spaces of the human mind. For the first time, she felt she had witnessed what it meant to be both creator and observer. Inspired, Kara designed her next collection to represent the fauna of human emotions, each dress reflecting a specific psychological state. Just as the fauna of a jungle thrived in chaos and balance, so too did emotions shift between extremes. One dress rippled like a predator in heat, another glistened with the calm of a grazing deer. Critics were forced to look at her creations not as clothes, but as living ecosystems of the mind's fauna. It was a risky move, but Kara thrived in that liminal space. Like studying fauna in a dark forest, her work forced society to face what was hidden. And this time, the industry could no longer look away. Of course, some skeptics still claimed her project was fallacious, calling it manipulative and overly dramatic. They argued that emotions were too complex for a dress to capture, dismissing her work as fallacious pseudoscience. Kara responded with the quiet confidence of someone who knew her purpose. She didn't need to explain why people cried when they saw a loved one's emotions turned visible. The industry's fallacious assumptions about art and science didn't scare her anymore. She knew the power of visibility, and no fallacious argument could erase that truth. Her designs had become more than fashion, they were emotional mirrors. What truly fueled Kara's mission, however, was her fervor, a burning desire to change how the world perceived mental health. While others grew bored or distracted, Kara worked with relentless fervor. She poured every ounce of her energy into refining the technology and expanding its reach. Her fervor inspired others, pulling volunteers, researchers, and even patients into her orbit. There was no pause, no hesitation, only the drive to break barriers. In her heart, Kira knew that fervor was the only thing capable of shifting societal attitudes. And she would not stop until the world saw what she saw. But not every idea could survive scrutiny, and Kira occasionally battled fatuous suggestions from investors. One CEO suggested the dresses be marketed as mood rings for the rich, a fatuous concept that disgusted her. Did they not see the seriousness of her work? How could they reduce years of research to a fatuous party trick for bored socialites? Kira turned down the offer, unwilling to betray her vision for cheap entertainment. Every fatuous pitch reinforced her belief that fashion needed a new purpose. She wasn't just creating clothes, she was forging a movement. In the end, Kira realized she could not afford to let her ideas lie fallow, waiting for the perfect moment. The world was ready, even if it didn't know it yet, and letting the project go fallow would betray everything she'd built. So, she pushed forward with her next venture, biofeedback suits for firefighters mapping stress in infernos. These suits, unlike her dresses, would save lives rather than just illustrate pain. Kira smiled, knowing the future no longer belonged to stagnant, fallow traditions. She had planted something new, and it was growing fast. Her work would not be forgotten.
Like and subscribe if you would like.